Morning, everybody. Let's check it out and make sure it's working. And we will get started. I'm early, and you can mark that down in your calendars, people. Mark it down. Andrea was early to her Saturday morning baseball show. I do love doing Saturdays because it gets me up, ready to go. I got to go to the grocery store today, and Thanksgiving is coming. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I would love to see Malpal here. Let me text him real quick. Where are you? Time to wake up. Baseball 30. Baseball time. Okay. All right. So I know he can't go to the gym because the governor in California locked the gyms up again and the restaurants. So I can't imagine where anybody could be over in San Diego at 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe sleeping, right? Okay. Sound on speaker. Okay. Sound on video. Okay. Where is Big Al? He's gone now. Whatever. So here we go. We're talking some baseball. Let's get started. Malpal will come around and hopefully George will wake up. And tomorrow is George's show. The Roto Imbeciles at 6:30 Sunday night. Douglas comes on too sometimes. Where's Douglas? Come to chat. All right. Steve Cohen is still making money. Actually, Steve Cohen lucked out. And I don't think I've even ever seen Mets fans this happy over a PED suspension in my life because they saved $24 million on the fact that Cano is out for the entire season. I don't know if it's specifically 162 games or if it's like one full season. We don't really know if we're going to have 162 games. So can you hear me, Lenny, on the video? Hi, Unholy Toledo. Yay. Unholy's here. You got Lenny and Unholy in the chat room together. I can only imagine what could be going on today. So nice to see you. And video's good. Everything's good. Steve Cohen's making money while everybody else is losing money. And the Dodgers are cutting a bunch of people for, well, we'll talk about the Dodgers. I have a whole bunch of stats on the Dodgers. And like the question, I guess it's not really a question. We all know that baseball is a business. And even though the Dodgers won the World Series, so it's kind of hard to explain why they're cutting a bunch of their staff right before Thanksgiving and Christmas, right after they win the World Series, and they're worth like billions and billions, not just billions, but like billions, like close to trillions of dollars. The Dodgers ownership combined, like they're in the second highest area, you know, for bringing in revenue. And yeah, they didn't have any games at home. Yeah, they didn't bring any fans, but neither did any other team, right? So the Dodgers just go start cutting people. And I just we'll talk about it because I do have some notes and like some specific figures, and it's just overwhelming the amount of money that they have. And it's completely like basically to make a long story short, but I still do want to go into the stats later, but to make a long story short, the Dodgers wouldn't even notice if they didn't lay off all these people. Like literally it's they said in the article at The Athletic that it's like literally a rounding error. That's how much money it would cost them to keep some of these people. And of course, baseball's a business, and I understand that, like, you know, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that you should just waste it. And obviously they became rich because they did something smart with their money, you know, and they didn't spend it frivolously. But you would think that the staff that helped you get here, and the first World Series that you won in like 35 years or something like that, maybe even longer. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been, but I don't know. It's like, Merry Christmas. You're got to go. Anyway, let's talk about the Mets first. Robinson Cano out for the season, 24 million. They have enough to get Bauer. Okay. It's enough to get Bauer and at least one other, either George Springer or JT Realmuto, in my opinion. There's other players that they could attempt to get, you know. Robinson Cano, I feel like why haven't we just legalized this shit? Think about all the money that they spend on the drug testing. Think about all of the wasted money. They could pay an entire team of staff just by saving the money that they, and what are they doing in the off season? Drug testing people. Why should they even have to follow this drug testing nonsense in the off season? I think I watched Trevor Bauer. Of course, he had his opinion on what's going on. He always has an opinion on everything, which I love. Okay, I think it's great. I don't always agree with him, but I love the fact that he's willing to put it out there. He said that they've probably known about this for a while. Like it goes through a couple of stages. So first they contact the player, and then they let the player know and give them an opportunity to retest. And if they test again, then I mean they go through a series of steps. Hola, Sonny Clark. Nice to see you, Couch Potato. Good job. Thanks for coming. So we're pretty sure that Robinson Cano and the management of the Mets and the ownership have known for several weeks. Maybe this test happened in actual season, but remember, the Mets didn't make the playoffs, so it would have had to happen quite a while ago. And all I know is that stop testing these people for steroids. Stop testing. You allow players to get stem cells injected into their knees. It's the same thing. People take steroids all the time, by the way. Probably there's a chunk of MLB players that take a dose of steroids all the time. They have allergies or for whatever reason, steroids really, if you're not taking it to get like, you're not trying to be the strongest man in the world, like pulling semis and stuff. You take it for your body to heal quicker. And Robinson Cano, who is getting paid a lot of money at the end of his career, who knows how long he's been doing steroids? We can speculate. I mean, this is the second time in 3 years that he's been busted for it. Regardless, whether he's done it his entire career or not, he's at the end of his career. He's at the end of his contract. And I think that these owners would, in their, they'd be like winking, like, I can't really wink that good yet. I'm still recovering from Bell's palsy. But anyway, they're like winking like, okay, yeah, we don't care if you do it. We just want you to play up to your contract. If you play okay, then we're just going to like probably turn the other cheek, which I would do too. But why are we still testing people for this? We should be in charge of our own bodies, right? Isn't that part of the freedom that we have in this country, that we can like make decisions? We can make decisions on when to have an abortion, even if it's up to 9 months pregnant. But we don't have the we don't have the right to decide what kind of drugs we want to put in our body. That's just, look, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to put my opinion on you or like make you believe the way I do. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just a pain in the ass. And we're all going to do the drugs that we want, regardless of whether you say that we can or not. If we choose to, we will find them and we will get them. And, it's just, Robinson Cano is at the end of his career. It's not like he's trying to work for another contract or anything. I doubt. He's got like $50 million still owed to him. And he had a decent season last year. You have to assume that maybe that was just with a little help, but whatever. There's all kinds of drugs being prescribed. And if a doctor gives it to you, or if your darknet market gives it to you, wherever you get it, why is one okay and not the others? Because a doctor says that you should take this. It's the same thing. Like when you inject stem cells into your knee, the only thing it really does is like it makes you heal. Your body heals immediately. Like it just, steps up the speed of healing process. And that's really what steroids do. So when you're older and you're still trying to play baseball, 100, however many games a season, do you blame him? I mean, I don't know. The doc's permission. Why do I need the doc's permission? I mean, seriously, I get it. I understand that. And it's kind of like we could talk about the sticky substances that we use on our hands, where the pitchers use, that batters actually like in cold weather because it keeps them safer from getting, an out of control wild pitch right in the head or whatever, it's hard to hold on to the ball in the wintertime when it's cold. Not that they play in the wintertime, but you know what I mean, when it's still cold. So anyway, the Cano thing frees up $24 million. And the Mets, okay, they're probably still paying. Who's the guy that they're still paying for like the next? I think this guy that the Mets have been paying forever, I think it actually ended for this guy, but he's been being paid for like the last 20 years or so, and he hasn't been playing at all. Tell me in the chat room, who was it? Lenny, I think that actually that they've been paying this guy back. He separated his contract out into the future, like 20 years. He's been getting paid, but the Mets, I think, are done with that contract. Either way, Steve Cohen doesn't care. He's it's the only team in baseball that has like all the extra money. So for the first time that I can even remember, okay, the Yankees are not the team that everybody's like, oh, the Yankees are going to get everybody. Like, when in doubt, just send them to the Yankees, The Mets are that team this year. Everybody is sending players to the Mets. The Mets can get them. The Mets should get them. The Mets should get Theo. The Mets should get everybody. Bobby Bonilla. Yes, it's true. Okay. 15 years to go. Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you too. Well, Cohen wants Bobby Bonilla Day. They paid for it, right? So we need more holidays. That's for real. Okay. So Cano is off the payroll. Does that mean that they can afford to spend $33 million on Trevor Bauer for a season? I was reading the predictions for how much Trevor Bauer is going to get next season is like from one extreme to the other. It's super exciting. I'm a huge fan of Trevor Bauer. I know you guys already know that. But I feel like Trevor Bauer rewarded me this year in more ways than one, because I'm a big fan of mound presence. I'm a big fan of like grit and resilience and being able to just, in the face of adversity, like getting it done and keep coming out and trying and never giving up, no matter what forces are trying to bring you down or whatever. Maybe it's, your own mind trying to bring you down, but whatever it is, overcoming it, continuing to work hard and watching it pay off. And that's what Trevor Bauer did. The guy's not had an ERA under 4 more than twice in the last 7 years. And so, I have to say, I'm hesitant to draft him on my fantasy team next year because I'm realistic in the sense that Trevor Bauer could have a great season like he did this year, or he could have a season that he did the other 5 years that he's been in baseball. Depending on his fit, where is he going to go? How many years is he going to sign for? I still believe that Trevor Bauer is going to target 1 year, especially like maybe if he pitched shitty last year, he might be willing to sign multiple years for less money. But like the projections of what he's going to get, they're all over the place. Jim Bowden said he's going to make $32 million for 1 year, or if he signs a multiple year contract, it'll be for 5 years at $135 million, which makes it like, I don't know, less money, but more time. So 5 years. Some people say 3 years. I think that Trevor Bauer is either going to go 1 year, which I'm saying it's 70-30 that he gets a 1 year deal. 70-30, 1 year. And if he does sign multiple years, I think that he will take 3. He doesn't want to be stuck somewhere, and he wants to pitch every 4th day. That's part of his selling. Like, that's part of the selling point for Trevor Bauer. He wants to pitch every 4th day. He's ready. Like, he's durable. He's the guy that's like you can rely on every 4th day, like you can rely on this guy, and he wants a team that's going to allow him to do that. Maybe there's not a lot of teams that are willing to do that. I guarantee there's not a lot of teams that are willing to add $30 million to a payroll right this minute. That means that they have to be ready to win right now. The teams that he ends up on, he knows this too. When he was talking about signing a 1 year deal, he's like, I will only end up on teams that are ready to win. And I will not get stuck on a team that doesn't put out the effort, that promises me that they're going to try to build a World Series team and then doesn't do anything. You know, like Arenado is stuck in that situation in Colorado. He feels like nobody ever did what they said they were going to do, which is build a World Series team. And Trevor Bauer is only going to get offers from teams that are ready to win now. As far as the 1-year deal, I mean, I'm sure he will get offers from Cincinnati. I think that Cincinnati is that they would love to keep him. He loves Cincinnati. That's why I'm wearing my Reds, Cincinnati Reds today. Anyway, I believe he'll sign for 1 year. I just pray it's not with the Yankees. And I think that the fact that Garrett Cole is a Yankee, I think that will help me, even though Bauer says that, you know, that is all behind us and we can move on. That was college. You know, they're two great UCLA pitchers. Garrett Cole went first overall in the draft. Trevor went third overall in the draft, but they never got along. And no matter what they say, they just don't like each other. That's all there is to it. Garrett Cole was very mean to him. A lot of people were mean to Trevor Bauer. And that made him who he is today. It made him exactly who he is. And I mean, so a lot of people say, like, they always want to include in their ideas about Trevor Bauer's future, like, are you willing to deal with his off the field antics? And are you willing to deal with his social media habits and like he's had issues like blah, blah, blah. They always like to bring up this one situation on Twitter where he got into an argument with a girl. This girl, like, you know, this is, it's not really for my opinion or not, whatever it is. The girl felt like Trevor Bauer's followers were harassing her, and maybe they were, but it's like he gets blamed for this thing, even though as soon as it was brought to his attention, he was like, he told his followers not to do it. Is it because he's goes against the flow politically, because he says what's on his mind and people can't take that anymore nowadays? But that doesn't mean that Trevor Bauer is going to be like the black sheep of the, you know, like, we're not going to bring him over here because he's got such a bad attitude or whatever. People would love to have this guy on their team. You should talk about his work ethic. You should talk about the quality of pitchers who pitch around him that like immediately get better because they listen to Bauer and Bauer helps. He might be a better manager than he is pitcher in Major League Baseball because he looks at the pitch, he looks at the form, he watches like the release, and he's able to tell pitchers who want to hear, you know, how they could get better. He is happy to help them along the way. Like Clevenger, a lot of why Clevenger is so good is because of Bauer. I think that Zach Plesac, the same thing. Definitely being in Cincinnati, I just think he's a great influence to have in your rotation as far as like being somebody that the young pitchers can look up to and learn from. And his work ethic is unmatched by anybody. So, okay, I'm off on the Trevor Bauer. I just think that I don't like when people bring up the fact that like, oh, can he hang in New York? Is he going to make it? Like, is he a good fit for New York because his off the field antics? No, that's ridiculous. His off the field antics, that's just a bunch of made up bullshit. His off the field antics are working hard every day and throwing pitches. He's like 100% dedicated to baseball. That's what we know. And in the off season, he's throwing 3,000 pitches. Like every day he's out there just at driveline trying to get better. He's got 6 different pitches that he uses. You never know which one, like each season he changes, even though he's got like one of the best changeups in baseball. This last year, he used his 4-seam fastball a lot. He was finally able to get his spin rate up, which is questionable because he admitted that he's been trying to get his spin rate up without using sticky substances for 7 or 8 or 9 years. And he's not been able to do it. And the only way that he's been able to increase his spin is by using a sticky substance. All of a sudden this past year, his spin rate is the top 100%. His 4-seam fastball has more spin than any other pitcher, which is okay. Whatever it is. I don't think he's using sticky substance. I really don't. I just think it clicked for him. Either way, just legalize the shit. MLB is willing to put out the idea that they're going to manufacture their own sticky substance and distribute that sticky substance to all the baseball players and let them use it, but only if it's MLB manufactured, right? Like only if we make money off of it, because that's how MLB works, and that's how all the sports leagues work. So are we surprised? No. Okay. The Mets are still expected to receive about $4 million of Cano's salary from the Mariners. So do the Mariners, maybe their insurance will cover the $4 million, but whatever. Steve Cohen is literally the $24 million that they owe Cano plus $4 million. That means $28 million they have for free to do whatever they need to do for this season. And like, where do you guys think that they should spend it? I don't like the fact that they offered Marcus Stroman a qualifying offer. I know he pitched decent for the Mets, and if he could just keep his mouth shut and continue to do that, like who am I to say that he should keep his mouth shut? Anyway, I'm just joking. Marcus Stroman, he accepted the offer. He's number 2 in the rotation, right behind Jacob deGrom. And then you got a bunch of question marks after that. So the Mets could use Bauer, and they could also use Springer. Like Springer would be a great investment for any team. He's proven that he's a great clubhouse guy. He also has good work ethic. Gosh, replace what it was just a horrifying deal in Yoenis Cespedes, who never left his barbecue, and put George Springer out there for like 5, 6, 7 years. Get Bauer, get JT Realmuto, get everybody, and let's just move on in life, okay? Hi, Alcola. Nice to see you. White Sox Al, good for you. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you guys. Arenado, Bradley, Liam Hendricks, Bauer, McCann. I'm reading the Athletic. So they're talking about the different players that were added to the Rule 5 deadline happened. And so anyway, the Giants beat writer at The Athletic had a great article about why they shouldn't invest in a closer. They talked about how closers are such bad investments because you just never know. Like they could have a phenomenal season, and then the very next year, we've seen it so many times, they're just junk. So like you sign a closer for 3 or 4 years, and you're you're just getting unreliability, no good. So the investment in closers, they're just not doing it that much anymore. Plus, I mean, San Francisco has one of the Rogers brothers. I think it's either Tyler or Trevor, Tyler or Trevor, whatever. It's the closer. It's the brother of Trevor. Is it Trevor? Taylor Rogers, and Taylor Rogers is Minnesota Twins, right? Nice to see you guys. Why don't you like it when I say nice to see you guys? Nice to see you, people. I don't care. Okay. Guys is just, that's what we call it for everybody in a group. It's mostly guys, but I guarantee if another girl was here, she probably wouldn't be offended. Anyway, okay, Taylor Rogers and Tyler Rogers. He's this guy, on one of his pitches, like, you can't hit. He never, it's like, I think he's unhittable. This Rogers brother, the younger brother of Taylor, check him out. I mean, I'm working on the draft guide now. I'm starting to get like the spreadsheets put together and stuff like that. So, but this guy is a good young. They also have some other youngsters in San Francisco. San Francisco is surprisingly deep when it comes to, like, I don't know. They have a good deep team. Young, good, deep. They need a couple pieces, but any pitcher that goes there is like automatically going to pitch better because he's pitching in San Francisco and it's impossible to hit. Okay, moving on. The Angels need some pitching. They are interested in J.A. Happ. Apparently, this pitching coach was working with the Blue Jays when Toronto acquired Happ. 2 different times. So he's worked with Hap, and now he's with the Angels, and they really don't have a lot going on. I mean, they have Andrew Heaney, who's good when he's healthy, Dylan Bundy, who's mediocre, okay, when he's healthy. He's okay. But none of their pitchers had an ERA under 4 last year. So they definitely need some. The Angels are running out of time. If they do not do something soon, Mike Trout is going to grow older. And like when I say grow older, I mean like 35. But they're running out of time. They just got Rendon. They need to do something with their pitching. Invest in some pitching. That's what they need to do. The Nationals seem to be interested in several players, like including DJ LeMahieu. Also, it was mentioned about Chris Bryant perhaps being traded to the Nationals. The thing is like they have Carter Kieboom. I'm not really sure even. Carter Kieboom. And in the outfield, they have Juan Soto, they have Victor Robles, and then Andrew Stevenson is who I have listed on their in their lineup. But it looks like Victor Robles, Juan Soto, and Andrew Stevenson. That's who we're working with. Lefty. They have a lot of lefties. Juan Soto, Luis Garcia. Andrew Stevenson, Yadiel Hernandez. Yeah, so anyway, they're interested in both DJ LeMahieu and, I mean, according to the rumors, they're interested in these cats. DJ LeMahieu should stay with the Yankees. I don't know. He's questionable. I just feel like he's not that. Don't get me wrong, please, because just because I wouldn't draft him doesn't mean that he's not reliable. I just don't trust him that much. I don't have a good reason why either. So anyway, the Pirates got rid of Trevor Williams. He understood why. Basically, they needed that roster spot to protect a couple of Rule 5 players. And Trevor Williams said, basically, I know why they let me go. I haven't pitched very good. So, of course, the general manager said it was unlikely we were going to be in a position to tender him. Once we determined that, we felt that DFA would make sense. We needed a spot, and it made sense to make the move sooner rather than later. He's not surprised. He wants to play, though. He wants to pitch. He's been okay. You know, he's not fantasy relevant, really, but he's okay. The Mets signed right-hand pitcher Sam McWilliams. What are they thinking? I don't know. There's only like 50 or 75 pitchers that have major league experience, but no, they go and sign Sam McWilliams. He's a right-handed pitcher, 6'7". He's 30-35 with a 3.85 ERA and 109 games, 94 starts in the past 6 years at the minor league level. He's not even pitched in the majors yet. $750,000. They signed him. It's the highest salary with for any player with no major league experience over the past decade. But that doesn't include Asian pitchers. Okay, it only includes American pitchers. So this guy, who knows what he's going to do? But they must like something about him. He's been 6 years in the minors. He's tall, very tall. We'll see what he can do. Don't hold your breath on that. Renato Nunez was designated for assignment, and that's interesting because even though Nunez, I mean, we know, I guess as a fantasy owner, you're kind of looking at different things like what normal managers aren't really caring about, like offense, instead of the fact that he's not very good defensively. I think they tried him at third base, but he was horrible, so they put him at first base, and they also have Rio Ruiz too there that plays corner, and Ruiz is still there. It says he offers fantasy value when he's playing every day, and that's very true because he could hit like 30 bombs. But the rebuilding Orioles would prefer to use this 40-man roster spot to protect prospects from the Rule 5 draft. And Nunez is now just a first baseman DH, so his I mean, his value to the actual team, the Orioles, is probably nothing. But an American League team could use him for DH. I wish that they would keep the DH in both the leagues still, and then he would have a lot bigger potential places to go. He's worth 0.9 FWAR in 203 games over the past 2 seasons, but for fantasy owners, he hits lots of home runs. That's all you need to know. They've got a lot of young, up-and-coming, the Orioles. They have some good future looking for them. Christian Yelich. So I was listening to the Athletic podcast, which is still on, by the way, Rates and Barrels. I believe it's just it's Eno and what's the guy, Lenny, that is in charge over there? The guy that does the hiring, Nando. I think it's Nando, or maybe it's Jeff Erickson's old partner from RotoWire, Chris Liss. Anyway, it's one of the two. And Eno Saris, they do a great podcast. I was listening to what they were talking about. They were talking about Bellinger getting shoulder surgery. And, okay, it brought up Christian Yelich in the conversation because it's like 2 guys that were drafted very highly last year and just crappy season. And what do you think of them going into next season? Well, like, both of these guys are different, but they did say that Yelich had a pretty serious leg injury, and I did not know that. So at least I know that much now. Like, I haven't really dug in for Yelich because I don't think that he's a first-round pick anyway. But at least now I have a reason why he was so bad in 2020, because you don't just go from that good to that bad without any kind of explanation. So for Bellinger, he just had shoulder surgery, and it was really to keep from getting or causing serious damage to his labrum. And the shoulder basically like popped out of place or whatever. And this was in the National League Championship Series, not even the World Series. He still played in the World Series, but he injured this shoulder. It was like Game 7 of the NLCS. So anyway, he's had surgery, and they say, they were talking about where to draft Bellinger and whether or not they would take, Jose Ramirez or Freddie Freeman. And they say that he's going to be ready by spring. The timeline that they give for healing from this surgery is springtime. So by February, he should be okay. But like his hard hit rate, and the thing is, Bellinger didn't get hurt until NLCS game, the end of NLCS. But the whole season he was lagging. I mean, he didn't have a good season. It could be a lot of different, external things affecting how he's playing. There's a lot of shit going on right now. So, okay, we'll give him a break for that. But his stats, like, he hasn't really been consistent since he came into Major League Baseball. Like, he's super good, and then he's not that good. Okay, let me tell you what just the things I noticed when I look at his Fangraphs numbers. His hard hit rate went down over 10 percentage points from 49.2% to 38%. Before that, though, like in 2017 and 2018, it was right around 40%. And so it looks like to me, as far as hard hit percentage, goes, it's the outlier is in 2019. Which it was almost 50%. The other 3 seasons are similar, right around 40%, which is still good. Okay. You're not going to lack for that. But I did notice that also in 2019, his on-base percentage was over 400. It was 406, but all of the 3 other seasons, including last season, it was right around 340, 330, 350, right around there. Last year, it was 333 on base percentage, and that's not good. Okay. His batting average was 239. That's horrible. Okay, but compare it to the other 3 seasons, and the outlier, once again, is 2019, it was over 300, and the rest of the time, it's like last year was low. But the 2 years before that, 260, 267, last year, 230, but All right, look at his batting average on balls in play. I know a lot of people don't like to use this stat anymore because they feel like they have better stats to decide, but it really does say something when you see a guy's batting average on balls in play at 299, 313, and 302, and it goes right down to 245. That means he's just definitely not, there's some bad luck involved in this bad batting average. That's for sure. So is he swinging more? Yes. Not that much more. He's swinging 47% of the time when he used to swing at like 45% of the time the other 3 seasons. His contact rate is still pretty good. It's upper 70, 79% contact rate. And I just don't see like, I think that 2019 was probably reaching, okay, for Bellinger. And can he do that again? Yeah, I'm sure he could, but I'm not going to expect it. I'm also not going to expect him to hit the way that he did in 2020. So I'm going to say like 280 batting average. I think his hard hit rate will go up. If his shoulder feels better, obviously it's that. Anyway, Bellinger was worth 62 fantasy dollars in 2019. And I mean, last year he was worth 10 fantasy dollars. And are you going to draft him in the first round? If he falls to round 2, I will swoop for sure, but I'm probably not going to take him in round 1. I will swoop in round 2 though. Okay. Yonder Alonso is retired. He had 10 seasons of fantasy irrelevance, and he hit 100 total career home runs. Thanks for playing. Okay. Here we go about the Dodgers. Okay. So the Dodgers play in the nation's second largest media market. They won their first championship in 32 years and then opted to cut dozens of employees 22 days later, right before Christmas, right before Thanksgiving. Here you go. And it makes you wonder, like, how much, I understand you lost 100 million. So did every other team. And at least you didn't think about the money that they made off just the fact that they were able to get the TV revenue for the extra long time, because all the other teams that didn't go to the World Series, they stopped making any revenue, like when the season was over or when they dropped out of the playoffs for whatever. Here you are, Dodgers, the richest, literally one of the richest, maybe not the richest, but I would say that combined ownership is worth the Dodgers used to be poor because they had problems when the owner was fighting with his wife, and they were just so interested in ruining each other's lives that they let the team, they almost couldn't even sell the Dodgers because they were in so much debt. They had more debt than they were bringing in. And so there's a rule in the agreement that the owners have to keep a certain amount of money on hand and invest. They have to be making enough money to pay their bills and that kind of thing. And the Dodgers, they had to make an exception because they had that much debt. So anyway, Magic Johnson and like a bunch of other people bought the Dodgers, and it just looks so bad. Like, it just looks so bad. Couldn't you have just maybe this is a shady way to think, but I would have definitely kept the employees through Christmas time. Absolutely. There's just no question. It's like you could throw that money out the window and you wouldn't even notice for these people. That's how much money they have. And when you're talking about an investment that, you're going to have to spend money somehow, and the people that actually make things tick and like make things roll, and it's all of the people that they used $130 million of their emergency money to pay not full-time employees, but the part-time employees during the COVID season, where the ballpark employees, the concierge, like the event people, the people that were not full-time employees and that were obviously out of work, they took $130 million out of their emergency fund. Well, it just makes no sense that they would get rid of all these people right before the holidays instead of just hold on to them and then slowly let them go. And so the news isn't going to be all over you. Just be like, here's some severance. Like, we got to let you go because we really got to cut that, position outright, or for whatever reason, you got to tell them, but don't do it before the holidays. In a time like this, I just feel like I don't know. I mean, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the A's, the Giants, the Astros, they all cut jobs. Other sports, other teams in other leagues, they all cut. NFL, NBA, they've laid off employees too. Major League Soccer is announcing this week that it was cutting 20% of its headquarters staff. So Magic Johnson, though, the face of the Dodgers franchise, he alone is worth $600 million. The CEO, Mark Walter, is worth $4.1 billion. If he put his whole fortune into boring government bonds, paying 2% a year, he alone would make enough money in just 3 months to pay the entire front office without ever even touching the principal. Okay? Just in interest. Bobby Patton owns another 1.3 billion and Todd Boehly about 6 billion on top of that. So this ownership group for the Dodgers is worth about $15 billion, carrying $5 million in salary for another year until the world returns to normal is not going to even make a difference to them. That's what we say. I mean, who am I to tell you what to do with your money? I'm not like trying to sit here and be like, this is what you should do. Like I have any clue what's going on financially. I know they lost money. I just feel like there has to come a time where these people say to themselves that the employees mean something to me enough that I care enough about them that I'm not going to fire them 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, a month before Christmas with the idea that your prospects for getting a job in the next couple months is like the worst that maybe it's ever been in this country because nothing is open. We're now on lockdown number 2. And so don't they get like how bad this makes them look as owners okay, donate 130 million to Black Lives Matter, okay? But God forbid if you keep your front office people that actually had a lot more to do with getting you where you are than people give credit for. And this is a team effort here, you know what I mean? Like there's something about in baseball, a camaraderie is a big deal that this is not just your team, this is your family. You can't win. One great player cannot win baseball. You cannot win a championship, just a couple great players. You have to work together as a team. So like if you don't have cohesion, your team sucks. If you don't get along, I mean, whatever. Just I don't know. How does it make the rest of the people feel that they know that their job is just one step away from just getting chopped? Okay, there's no loyalty here at all. So tell me what you guys think about this. I'm talking. Sonny Clark says it's 10:40 now, and he made this comment at 10:10. But I still do want no rules. I still do definitely want no rules. I don't think that the more rules, the better. Okay. They're talking about teaching in the chat room. Totally underappreciated job too, I will say. Okay. So let me move on about should I even go into this rest of this? The team had previously instituted up to 35% pay cuts for staff earning more than $75,000 a year. Obviously, this is not going to affect players like Mookie Betts or any other player. Mookie Betts signed 13 years, $365 million. Okay, I don't know why that's really relevant. It just is that the amount of money that it would cost to keep 50 front office people is probably less money than it costs for just 1 year of Mookie Betts. Not that he's not worth it. He's a great player. He's a great guy, whatever. This is what the team said publicly about the layoffs. While the Dodgers had a championship season, the organization has not been immune from the widespread economic devastation caused by the coronavirus. Since March, we have worked hard to minimize the impact on our employees. Okay. The ongoing economic crisis, however, forces us to make difficult personnel decisions throughout the organization going forward for the 2021 season. This is a heartbreaking decision. Okay. This year, more than ever, we are truly grateful for the role each member of our Dodgers family plays in our success. Just stop it with the scripted, stupid things. Like, just please. you're not heartbroken. The guy that's getting fired is heartbroken. The guy that has to go home and tell his wife that he can't buy the kids Christmas gifts because they have to afford their mortgage, which they're 3 months behind or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just don't. It's better just don't even say anything if you're going to do that. $1.3 million to event staff, concierge, ballpark staff, not full-time employees, is what they gave during the COVID emergency. But the cost of the front office staff is essentially a rounding error in the operating cost for a Major League Baseball team. Outside the very top executive positions, the average salary for a front office employee is well under $100,000, including benefits. So the average MLB player makes $4.4 million. That's what they made before COVID. So that's roughly 50 front office staff equals one average player, and the entire front office, excluding the GM and a couple of other top brass, probably works out to be 10% of the team's entire payroll. So come on, man. Like, just my opinion. That's all. My opinion. It's just an opinion. Okay. That's how I feel. So, 11 players. I don't really care about this COVID testing stuff because so many people are testing positive, and I feel like we have treatments now that we need to pay more attention to, like the number of active cases, which depending on where you live, you can or can't get the proper numbers. Like where we live in Suffolk County, New York, we are given the proper numbers. So every day you can check to see how many new cases there are, how many people died today. It's never good. Like, there's no deaths is better. I mean, of course, every death is horrible, but when you see deaths at like 2 rather than what it was for several months, which was like 500 just in this county, people dying, you know, that's horrible. We don't really know for sure if masks work. And of course, we here in New York have been wearing masks since we were the first to get it. And we were the first to start mandating the mask. So like, we can't go in any public place without wearing a mask. So when I go to the grocery store, I put the mask on, which I don't have a problem. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that, do the masks work? Because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things involved in the mask. Okay. Yes, I do think that it works to a point. I think that it would be not logical or reasonable to think that it doesn't at least somewhat keep. I mean, if you blow, like if you're running in and there's something there, right, to stop the projectile or whatever that, you know, you're spitting, you're talking, it's flowing, you can't see it, but it's there. But if you're wearing a mask, it seems reasonable to think that, of course, some of it is going to be stopped by that mask, and it's definitely not going to go as far as it would, like with me screaming at the camera right now. Like, it's going everywhere, I'm sure, but there's a lot of other those side things that happen when you are forced to wear these masks, including like lack of oxygen. And for kids, I think that it's dangerous for kids to, I mean, the coronavirus is horrible. Obviously, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just trying, we've lost like several friends. I've had, like Lenny has been told that like the things that I say are so offensive that they won't come around and talk baseball anymore. And I try really hard. Like, I've made an effort to keep baseball separate from the way that I feel politically, but I don't know why, because people, if they see on Facebook that like, cause or Twitter, and they don't like what I'm saying, the way that people are treating each other in this country is a direct result of the media straight up brainwashing people. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but hear me out for a second. There's so much division in this country, and we really are all Americans. We are all wanting the same thing in the end. We want our families to be safe. We want to go to work. We want to come home. We want to have privacy and freedom. We want to be able to take care of our families. We want to be able to leave our kids some money. We want to have opportunity, right? And like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that people believe, that this country is all racist, that there's all kinds of bad things that are going on, and white supremacy, and all they're telling you to be like scared of certain things, certain groups, that I know firsthand that they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Like, we should think twice about what we believe is true and actually like look into it, because I have to tell Mark, who's 21. Lenny's yelling at me right now. Lenny, you're, oh God. Do you really think you're going to get me to stop it by yelling at me to stop talking about this? I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying anything. And if people are offended by this, then I'm sorry. What? We're all, whatever. Look, when you have to tell your college age kid that you need to question every single thing that people tell you, and even if they're telling you something, their authority to you, you need to have some reason or evidence, like why do they think that? You can't just go by what people say as far as like, this person's a racist, or that, you know, they're a horrible person and we have to cancel them and get them fired from their job and all of this. This is not how America works. That's all there is to it. Because between me and you, if you have different ways of looking at things than I do, we get together, and then that makes us that much better working together. We respect each other's difference of opinion and outlook, and we work together and utilize my best assets and your best assets. Like, that's what makes America great. About all of the things that we have different, that we can look to each other and be like, okay, I could learn something from you, or I want to know how you feel, because maybe I will see things a little bit different by checking out your experience. Stop yelling at me. I'm not going to stop yelling at me. That is not going to get me to stop. It's only going to get me pissed off, because I'm not even being rude right now. Don't tell me and yell at me about what to say. I mean, for real, what are you accomplishing by screaming at me to be quiet? I'm not going to be quiet. I mean, what? The people that can't take it, dude, honesty, have already left. So whatever. I mean, Lenny and I are great. Like, we're great people. We treat people very nicely, and we treat people like we want to be treated. And our friends, we treat them nice. And if they choose that, because we see things a little bit different than them, or don't have the same exact political feelings that they do, they can't be our friend after how many years? 30, 40 years in some cases? Like, whatever. Because if this country, all I know is that I'm not going to bow down to these mobsters. I'm not going to let them tell me what to think or what to say. I'm not going to. And I will stand up, even if I'm the only one standing up. I will die for this country, because I love freedom and I respect our country and our flag. And it's worth to me, like, what, Lenny? Keep doing what? All right, I gotta go, because my father is telling me that I'm out of control or whatever. He's yelling at me to be quiet. I don't give a fuck. Okay. I'm just not going to let people bully me around and tell me what I can and can't think and what I can and can't say. There's plenty of people that feel this way, but they can't say anything because they're afraid of getting fired from their job or like losing their family and shit like that. And that's just not the way it should be. And frankly, I don't care if I get fired from my job. Anyway, regardless of what happens in the future, we're all Americans. I hope that we can look forward to free and fair elections. And I don't want to, I will accept the results of the election, and I will move on, and I will accept whoever is president, because that's what you do. And if, you know, I just want to know that when I go cast my vote, that it's fair and it's actually not being, you know, counter with somebody's illegal vote or whatever. I can't guarantee that there's any kind of stuff happening. Nobody really can. But when people tell you that there's absolutely no evidence of any kind of election, you know, shenanigans, they're lying to you, because there's plenty of people coming forward. There's plenty of, I mean, just hear me out. There is plenty of reason to question whether or not this election was fair. And if we don't fix it and we don't address it right now, then we might as well kiss the country, like, as a whole, goodbye. If Biden wins, I'm happy with Biden winning. I will accept it. I will totally be happy that my student loans are going to get paid off. There's, you know, there's always upside, and whatever it is, I promise that I will accept it. And I just want it to be fair. And that's it. Have a good weekend. Lenny will be back on Monday, and George will be here tomorrow. Roto Imbeciles at 6 p.m. And maybe Douglas will come and do a show. He's in and out, but maybe Douglas 4:30 or 5:30. Check it out. Come to chat. See you then.